It's good. I should be able to pull it up and see it on here now. Ooh, I can't see you now though. Oh, we're good. We're good. And we're live. Okay. So what's up? It's your boy Yurgi. We have a special episode for you today. We are actually gonna be. We have Ben here. Uh, one of the Splitgate 2 devs. I'm actually so excited for this. I could barely focus today, to be honest. This was all I was really thinking about all day while I was at work. It was actually a problem. I can't lie. But yeah, let's not wait too long. Let's get right into it. Let's introduce the legend, the man, the myth, Finest Ben. Uh, how are you doing,
Oh
man?
man, you're flattering me, man. I'm doing great. It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, dude,
You
thank
know,
you, thank you.
for the viewers, Yurgi and I, we go way back
Yep.
to Splitgate 1, back to the custom maps community and all
Yes.
that. I loved Super Customs.
So much fun.
I look forward to it every single week. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys whip up in the sequel.
Honestly, we always enjoyed having you come and play. For us, it was a treat because we could just pepper you with all of our questions while we just had fun playing. So, we look forward to doing that again. We are trying to get it started as soon as we can. Hopefully, the customs is all ready for us to go on beta. If the map editor is, I'm kind of guessing that that's going to be there too, but that's to be seen. Let me get the first question ready. Actually, it's pretty simple one. What is your position at 1047, and what are your duties? Just so we can, for those who don't know you, they can know what you do exactly on Splitgate.
Yeah, it's a good first question. So, I'm one of the game engineers here at 1047. Let's see. I joined just over 4 years ago, back in 21, right before the console launch,
Yep.
and I've seen the team grow from like just a handful of people, like 8 or 9 people, all the way up to I think we've got like 200 now. So it's just been an incredible journey. What I do specifically, so I work inside the Unreal Engine, and my focus is on the gameplay itself.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of my main focuses personally are I mostly work on the overall game flow and the modes. So stuff like the tutorial was sort of my main baby, I suppose, that I did most recently. And then
Yep.
pre-post game where you've got all the people selecting loadouts at the start and the little winner's circle at the end, and
Yeah.
modes like capture point modes, hot zone, dom, that kind of thing. Those are some of the things I've worked on. And then outside that too, I've just sort of worked on weird mathy stuff in the sandbox. So
Oh, yep.
the portal system, how it's got like the new like portal nudging, portal replacing, snapping portals to the floor, in case you place them just a little bit too high.
That's been
Uh,
nice. Like,
yeah, so
I
those are
have to say that change in particular, we in the community have been loving. We've been saying no more stub toes.
yeah, no, it's a game changer, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
every now and then I'll go back to the first, and the first has a lot of charm, but stubbing your toes on the portals can definitely get a
Yep.
little infuriating at times.
Yeah, no, I feel that I'm making one of my last maps right now in Splitgate 1, and as much charm as it has and much fun as I had, I'm excited for the new map editor and the new game because of all the improvements that have been made.
Yeah, well, we're just as excited for you guys to begin your hands on it.
Hell yeah, let me pull up the next questions now. Okay, so what has been your favorite super custom moments that you can remember? I bet there's quite a few because we've do
I was,
week after
yeah,
week.
I was gonna say it's hard to pick just one. I'd say a handful. Like, I think Bounty was one of the really cool moments for me as a developer, because
Yeah.
you guys took a mode that we had envisioned just sort of playing one way, and
Hmm.
just completely reworked it to an entirely different flow. Entirely new strategies, totally different map design, stuff we could have never pulled off necessarily on one of the normal maps.
Yep.
You know, I don't think that mode would have played well on any of them. And
Um,
so,
we actually had some debates within the community. We think there were one or two maps where we could have made it work. It wouldn't have been ideal, but it would have worked. I
totally.
think Lava Well was one because it kind of has that shape.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. But it really just blew me personally away, at least seeing the you know, the creativity of the
Yep.
mapper community, and start to highlight that as well. I have to pick one other favorite custom or super customs moment, which I remember there's this one map where there's like this slide or something like this,
Yes.
and there's this portal wall at the bottom and at the top, and everyone had like BFBs, and it was split
Yes.
ball.
I
And,
remember
so,
that.
you know, everyone was just falling
That was
down really, really
wild.
quick, you know, and
Yup.
looping around. I was like, you could never do this in any
No.
other game, you know. And so to me, that was just a really special moment as a developer.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there were definitely a lot of just different fun game modes that we're able to create just because of the portals themselves. They allow you to do some very unique things. And I'm honestly, with some of the new toys we saw, there's a lot of new ideas we're going to be definitely coming out with too.
I'm excited.
Yeah, let's move on. Oh yeah, what was your favorite Splitgate 1 map? I know everyone has their personal favorites. What's yours?
Yeah, I hate to sound like a broken record. I know this is a pretty common opinion, but Abyss for me is just so
It's
great.
hard not to like Abyss. It's really
Yeah,
hard not to.
I really feel like it just really encapsulates the best part of, or best parts of the original Splitgate
Yes.
sandbox. You've really got a little bit of everything there,
Mm-hmm.
and what really puts it over the top for me, there's quite a few other maps where I feel like they do that, but Abyss is asymmetric, which I
Yes.
think makes it really unique. I think, in my mind at least, it's always more impressive to find a asymmetric map that feels balanced and feels like it plays really well.
Yes.
And I feel like our LDs just really knocked it out of the park with that one, so it's just always such a blast whenever I see it come up in matchmaking.
Yep, yep. Honestly, I do think like it's one of my personal favorites too. A lot of people in the community would say the same. It's just because it is really just a very well designed and well rounded map. It does everything just right. It has a little bit of everything to keep it interesting. It's simple but yet complex enough to where you're not getting bored of playing it after the 50th, 100th time. Like, you're going to want to play it another 50 or 100 times. In fact, with that being said, can we possibly see a Abyss 3.0?
I mean, I can't answer that,
Oh.
but
I'm
say? Who can
hoping,
say
I'm
at this
praying. I'm praying because with them bringing back Stadium, and then you guys made the post about what maps we want to see next. If any devs are listening right now, I want to see Abyss, please, please.
yeah. And to be clear, like, I'm right here with you guys. There's a lot in the game that I just don't know about. I actually just found out about the Stadium remake not too long ago, and like, I was jumping out of my seat, you know. I was like, oh my gosh. It's, funnily enough, it's my second favorite map probably, so I was over the moon when I heard it was coming back. So yeah,
I always felt like Stadium had good bones. I definitely felt like there were some problems that with it, but it looks like the new. Oh, Ben's mic needs to be turned up a bit. It looks like the new. Let's turn it up. Oh, that was a little too much. The new rework has fixed a couple of the main problems I had with it, which kind of excites me. I'm excited to get my hands on it and actually test it a bit. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. Let's get into the next question though. Oh, I just had it. There we go. What new challenges did you have to face in Splitgate 2 compared to Splitgate 1?
that's a really good question. So what I would say is, like, obviously we moved from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5.
Yep.
And a lot of the developers that are on the team now, I'd say had that thing mastered right out of the gate. But for me personally, I had never looked at it once before, starting work on this game. So
Yep.
for me, it was definitely a bit of a steep learning curve. But I'm really grateful that we did. Like, it's let us do a lot of things that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise.
Yeah.
Um,
It
and just
I was gonna
oh,
say too, for like you said, for newer and even younger people like myself, it is a lot easier for us to learn just because it kind of goes with that more streamlined editor format that we're used to seeing.
totally. And with it also, Epic just has so many neat tools and systems that have let us streamline our development in many ways. Like, I can't go into too many details, I'm sure you understand, but
Yep.
our weapon system, for instance, what used to be so clunky in the first game, and now
Yeah.
it's like, if you want to make a new gun, notwithstanding skins, art, stuff like that, it's really easy to just prototype stuff yourself and go, hey, I want a gun that does X. Let's put some stuff together and see what we can come up with. So
Yeah,
that's been a lot of fun.
I was gonna say I had listened to a interview with the CEOs, and they had talked about how they made it more modular now, to where it's a lot easier to make individual updates without breaking the whole entire system. And I feel like, especially with how the Splitgate community operates, that is going to be very good because we all are constantly throwing a bunch of different ideas out and just trying to see what's fun and works.
Totally. I think you hit the nail on the head there with
Yeah.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, with that, let's get into the next category because most of those I wanted to be a little bit more centered on you and less so on the game. Let's get into more of the philosophies now on what you guys are, how you tackle certain challenges and aspects of the game.
Totally. Yeah, I'm happy to share what I can. Obviously, I'm no spokesman for the company. This is
Yes.
just my opinion, just putting that disclaimer out there, but I'm happy to speak about what I can.
Yeah, and I always feel like it's just good to get an idea of how the devs think as they're creating the game because when you're someone playing the game, you want to feel that character of the people who actually make the game because that's what makes it fun. So the first question is, what is the philosophy on power weapons as far as advantages versus loadout weapons, uses before depletion, and like stuff like strategic map placement?
Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, of course,
Yes. Yeah. No.
And I have a lot of words to say, I suppose. So,
I
I
mean, we
guess
got
just
nothing but time. So if you want
perfect.
to take this bullet point by bullet point, we can.
Yeah, so I guess obviously, just starting off, advantages versus loadout weapons, you generally want a power weapon to be stronger than
Yes.
something in your loadout. It's something that you have to contest and fight for on a map, so it's sort of a risk-reward factor. If you played the alpha too, you'd remember from the airdrops that the announcer made it very clear that the loot might be worth the risk, and, with power weapons, it's our goal to make sure that it is for sure. As for how it plays, I think there's a lot of factors that go into this, and this is just based off of my own experiences, giving feedback. But for me, when I look at a power weapon, and again, I don't make these decisions, but when I look at a power weapon, for me, it's a mixture of how easy it is it to use, how much skill ceiling is needed to reach its max potential. How many kills can you even possibly get with it? So something like the BFB obviously has a vastly different kill potential versus the
Yep.
sniper rifle, which requires, a lot more precision, but the
Yep.
trade-off is you can use it from much further away and get more kills with it.
Yeah,
So
you
I
got
think
more ammo
there's
and all that. Yep.
yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into this. And one other thing I think I can say is compared to the first game, we have a very, very impressive gameplay data collection system now where we can now aggregate just tons of information about how the game is playing in certain areas and use that to help us make choices. So, We
That's
can
great to
see
know,
like
actually.
what people are getting kills with, where they're getting kills with it. What are hot spots on maps? What are spots where
Yeah.
they go relatively empty? What are interesting fights taking place over?
Yep.
Which power weapons might be overperforming, which are under. And so all of this, really factors into our decisions a lot, I'd say, when it comes to, how we balance these power weapons and where we put them.
Yep. No, that's actually really great to hear. From what it sounds like, you guys are really focusing on more of the aspect of being able to make the changes and improvements you need to make as we go forward, because being a part of the Splitgate community, it's always changing and we're always noticing different things, and being able to make those changes on the fly is great, and it's what keeps people interested and engaged, knowing that when you notice a problem, that a change is going to actually be made in a reasonable time, but also not too hasty, because you don't want to just make a change just because a bunch of people go on Twitter and get mad. You want some data to back the change too.
Exactly. And, obviously, when there are a bunch of people going on Twitter and getting mad, that's great feedback as well. And,
Yes.
we definitely look at people's verbal feedback as well. Even going back to the first alpha, I think two pieces of feedback that ring out very loud and clear for us were the time to kill was maybe a little bit
Yes.
too fast back then.
Yeah.
And then for me personally, this was a little more relevant. The hot zone, the shared captures stuff where you could steal
Oh,
kills
dude,
from other teams.
that was so
So
annoying.
the thing is,
Yeah.
what isn't always transparent, things often play very differently internally compared to, live tests. So we played pretty much every version of Hot Zone you could think of while we were making that mode. And ultimately, we just found that having that shared progress was the most fun. But there's a lot of differences in live play. Like, you're not hand-picking teams, before a match. Instead, you have a matchmaker that does it.
I was also going to say, with a dev team, you also have a little bit of a higher interest for just seeing just the game and seeing it do good. So you're going to be more interested and invested in every second. Where you get just a casual player who hops on to play, they're probably not thinking the same thing. They're probably going to wander off for a little bit, look at this, and do some other stuff, because you can't predict what someone wants to do in the moment right there. So
Yeah.
I can understand that, and it's definitely nice to get that good just a wider range of feedback. And you could I liked seeing the change from the first alpha to the second alpha too, because you could tell you guys were listening and you made the changes that we wanted. And even from the alpha to now, with the couple announcements you've made, from bringing back Takedown to even bringing back a couple old Splitgate 1 maps, it just sounds like you're really listening to the feedback that we've given, and that really makes you feel confident in you're going to be getting a game that's going to last a while.
Yep, definitely. I mean, at our core, we're all just really gamers. They're trying to make a game that's as fun as it could be, And so,
Yep.
like I'm not sure if you've seen, but we are very, very active in matchmaking in these
Yes.
tests too. Like, we all love this game. Our
Yes.
hearts and souls are in it. So ultimately, if everyone's happy, like, we love you guys, we love the community, and we really just want to build something great. And you guys are a big part of that. So thanks. And it's a lot of very good help, I would say.
Yeah, no, honestly, just love the whole team because of how much they are involved in the community. The fact that me, as a small time streamer and channel, I'm able to reach out to you and ask to do an interview like this it's amazing. I don't think I'd be able to do this with any other company, to be honest. So just thank you, and
Yeah, I mean, we're all happy to make this happen, so.
Yeah, let's go to the next question then. There are a couple of good features from Splitgate 1, such as replays. There's been a lot of people actually talking about Linux support as well. And we haven't seen any of this implemented yet in Splitgate 2. Is there any reason why, or could we potentially be seeing them implemented in the future?
Okay, so let me break this down a little bit. So for the Linux support, I frankly know as much as you guys do, probably
Okay.
less, because that's
Okay.
pretty outside my wheelhouse.
I don't know much.
I know they made a announcement. I think Cardinal said it had something to do with anti-cheat, but I'm not super clued in on that one. So I'm
Yeah.
afraid you guys are gonna have to continue speculating on that front because I'm just not sure.
Okay.
But on the replay front, I actually can talk about that, and I know we've talked about this publicly. So
Yep.
with the shift to Unreal 5, we shifted something called our replication system to something called Iris. So replication, just for those of you not in the loop necessarily on that, is basically the idea where you have a dedicated server, right,
Yep.
running, and then a bunch of clients that connect to that server, and something needs to keep the data between all those people in sync. So that's what replication is. It basically makes sure that all the data that, say, the server sets on something is propagated down to the clients and they receive the necessary updates. So Iris is a fantastic system that's really led to some huge performance improvements over the first game for us. Our netcode is leagues beyond where it used to be, I would say.
Okay.
The catch, though, is that Iris isn't developed in-house. It's actually developed, I believe, by Epic themselves, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong there. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
In any case, though, so it's developed not by us. And a big thing that they've mentioned that they'd like to add support for but can't is replays. And so ultimately, having a replay system is dependent on how your replication works.
Okay.
And until they end up supporting that on their side, we can't bring it into our game super easily. So I know it's something the Cardinals said in the past, we'd love to add. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think anything's changed on that front. But
Yeah.
at the very least, right now, that's still sort of holding us back from pulling the trigger, so to speak, and making it happen.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I knew that's where you guys were at. You guys want to add it, but the system you using is preventing it. That's kind of nice to know that they're at least trying to add it. So hopefully, maybe sometime in the distant future, pray. But it is sad that we won't have it. But what can you do? Let's
Yeah.
move on to the next questions. So, are there any plans on making more factions? And if there are no plans for more factions, are there plans to possibly get more abilities?
Okay, so I'll echo again what Cardinal said here. I hate to be a broken record, but I know he said at least at the end of the last alpha,
Yeah.
probably not, unless people really wanted more factions.
Yep.
I know he mentioned initially he was considering a fourth faction, which I wasn't necessarily in the loop on, but he decided that he felt that the game played well enough with 3, and
Yeah,
that
I
he's
agree.
happy with that for the time being, I believe. So
Me
there could be more coming. There could not be. I'm afraid I just don't
personally,
know.
I don't want to see any more factions. If it were me, I'd rather see more abilities because it kind of helps to keep a more cohesive theme still while allowing more player expression without it feeling too much like a hero shooter, which is what I don't want Splitgate to start to feel like. I kind of like where it is now, where it kind of is an arena shooter mixed with a class-based shooter, which is a lot of fun.
Totally. And I feel like the factions themselves, as they stand right now, really have unique identities that you can play around,
Yep.
You've got Arrows, which, they're the Portal Masters, but I think of them sort of as like hit and gun, like Portal
Yes.
in, Portal out, like very harass-oriented play style, which is unique compared to like Meridian, where they're maybe a little bit more utility focused,
Yes.
gain information for their team, giving them buffs, potentially giving the other team debuffs if you get
Yep.
creative with the time bubble, for instance. And
Yep.
then you've got Sibrask, which is sort of that slow, methodical, like pushing forward, like slowly but surely type faction. And so I think the 3 of them have very interesting interplay and all have pros and cons that work super well together. I mean, personally, I could see a fourth faction maybe adding its own identity, but I agree. I think 3 for now, from
Yep.
my perspective, seems pretty solid.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll have to see what the future holds.
Yeah, and like I said before, if we do need more player expression with the abilities, you can always just add a second ability to each faction. You now have 6 abilities, three factions, and they still will fit within that faction's play style. So, to me, that just seems like a better route than just adding more factions. Let's with that, let's move to the next one then. Factions. Okay. What is your guys' philosophy on community playlists, and could we possibly see one coming?
Okay, so I'm gonna dodge the could we possibly see one coming because I obviously can't speak about future content.
Worth a try. Worth a try.
Yeah, good try. What I will say though is personally, I love community playlists.
Yes.
Some of my favorite memories from the first game were like playing some of the Fiesta modes on the creator or created map playlists. You know, were
Yes.
really fun. And also, I remember not so long ago there was a remake of a lot of the maps that we showed off in like the alphas.
Yes.
Those got remade in the original, and you know there was some gameplay there. And it was really interesting to see how differently stuff like Ozone would play with the old sandbox.
Yep.
And so, I mean, personally, at least for me, I always had fun, and you know, I definitely welcome that if it were in the cards.
Yep. Uh, well, you know how we as the map builders feel. We absolutely love those playlists. Honestly, a lot of us barely play in the matchmaking until those playlists come out. Uh, so excited! I just want more playlists, more Splitgate 2. You know it. Um, Also, one thing I was actually thinking about, and we had talked about with some map builders that would be really nice, is having some sort of way to search for like a creator tag for maps. So like me, when I or Phoenix were to make a map, when we're building it, we could just add a little tag in that says at and then our gamer tag, and then you guys would have a database where they could search our name, and then all of the maps that we make and put our tag on will then show up. Just a little bit of an easier way for people to actually search for the community maps outside of having to go into Discord and then search through the catalogs that we have.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome idea. And, you know, obviously, based off my background, I'm very far removed from our map creator team. But, you know, we as a whole team, especially our designers, you know, we're always looking through feedback and ideas that are given to us, like on Discord, on Reddit, on Twitter, Insta, you name it.
You know,
So, like, that's exactly the kind of idea where I would say definitely leave that. And I think a lot of people would get excited about that kind of thing.
I'm probably gonna have to push that idea out a bit more because I feel like that would just be a really good community builder too. Because you're gonna have people who come in, they're not really used to the whole Discord community and how all those systems work, and just giving them an easier way to find the maps that we make and a lot of the people love to play, would just be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Let's move to the next question now. This is actually a good question. We've already touched on this a little bit, but let's get a little bit more in depth. What is your guys' philosophy on time to kill? Have you guys thought about possibly increasing it even a little bit more than what you have already?
I can only really share again what I've heard, which is just from what I've seen, a lot of people seem pretty happy with the time to kill we had in Alpha 2.
Yep.
Maybe it could be changing. What I'll also say is obviously we're always just collecting data, as I mentioned before, and stuff like time to kill is very fundamental and common data that we get for pretty much every gun. So that gives us a lot of good insights as to what, you know, might be overperforming,
Yep.
underperforming. You know, is it maybe still too fast given that? Is it too slow? Like, we have so many insights into that.
Uh,
Um, what I'll also say as well is we have some very top-notch game designers and a really flexible balancing system for our games. So,
that's good. That's good.
you know, they're always tuning stuff very frequently. I would say like we do tons of like weekly tests, and no 2 weeks feel the same in terms of balance. Always like there's always slight tweaks, and it's always interesting to try those out and see how they impact the game. So,
No, no, that's
um,
also good to know for the longevity of a game, because if you want a FPS game like this to last a while, you want the gunplay to change up at least a little bit to where you're not always seeing the same guns being used over and over and over again.
very true.
And on that note, I actually have a personal gripe about a weapon balance problem. I'm just going to throw it out here while we're on time to kill, and we've already talked about power weapons. The Meridian shotgun, the Charger.
I knew this was coming. I knew it.
Oh my, this is a personal gripe. Like, we're here. I have to bring it up. I know some people don't agree with me, but if you don't agree with me, I'm sorry. You didn't actually use it. Something
I
needs
think,
to be done.
I think the hard part with the Meridian shotgun, right, is it's got a very high skill ceiling where, at least in
You have
my
to
eyes,
time
during
the
the alpha,
charge ups. Yeah.
during the alpha at least, it was almost performing on the level of power weapons. And
Yes.
then, and again, this goes
Yes.
into personal philosophy for me and personal opinions, but then it's got a very low skill floor where if you struggle to aim, or if you struggle to pre-charge and stuff, it ends up being well and beyond worse than any other shotgun in the game that you could be using. So I think it's interesting to balance. I won't go into specifics, but I will say we're obviously collecting data on
Okay.
all guns, and that includes the Meridian shotgun.
That's
And
good.
we
I'm
did have that from the alpha.
I'm happy to hear that. I do have a couple ideas to throw your guys' way just to see how you guys feel about it. You can play with it. Do what you will with this, but we have discussed this within the map building community, and here's some of our solutions to what can fix the balancing problem with the Charger. Balancing problem solution number 1. Make it a lighter heavy. So it's still a power. Like you still have to pick it up, but it respawns faster. So you can get it more often throughout the match, and it can be used as a dueling option against some of the other power weapons that you throw in. I thought that was my personal favorite. It kind of gives me more of the vibe of how Halo does their power weapons. They'll tier it. You have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. My second solution number 2. This is how you are going to be able to keep it in the classes without pushing it to a power weapon category, which is what I think you guys want more. Simply just reduce its firing rate a little bit more. It fires way too fast. For someone who actually plays the game and can time it out, I can just weave in, boom, boom, boom. I killed their whole entire team. It's not that hard. If you just reduce the firing rate a little bit, it would force you to maybe switch to your pistol or do something in between a couple kills to make it a little bit harder to chain your kills. That is my main 2 solutions. There are some people saying just make it a little weaker. I don't think you need to reduce the strength of it. Its range, I think, is actually decent. Maybe reduce it a little bit on the range. I don't think so, though. It's pretty good on its range. I think the firing rate...
I think those are all interesting balancing suggestions, and that's...
Thank you.
All I'm going to say, I want there to be surprises for the beta, you guys. I don't want
to
spoil everything.
No, that's fair. That's me just kind of taking my platform to put how I would balance the Charger. I do like the power.
I think they're great ideas
because it allows for more weapons to throw into the sandbox. But hey, maybe I'm hinting at something you guys have already done. Hopefully, maybe. Hopefully.
Can't say anything, but
Okay.
you'll see, I suppose. In what is it, like 2 weeks roughly, 2 or 3 weeks?
Just a little over 2. We're at 16 days.
Yep,
16 days.
the 22nd. I'm excited.
Dude, I'm so excited. I'm counting down. I actually am. Like I started the countdown chat in the Splitgate Discord. So excited.
I saw, yeah, that was a fun countdown.
Okay. So we know we're going to be getting a map editor in Splitgate 2. At some point, could we possibly be seeing a roadmap for the map editor? I'm not saying you have one right now, but in the future, could one come?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Again, I work very far away from the map career community, so
That's
if
fair.
there is something that they're
That's
planning, I'm certainly not privy
More
to
of
it.
a question for Steve and Garrett.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
I think you would have to ask them.
Okay.
I know Cardinals talked broadly about his philosophy on deadlines and dates in the past publicly, so
Okay.
I'm not sure how that would play out with a roadmap, but time will tell.
Honestly, I'm surprised we're even getting the map editor this early. So I'm just a giddy little schoolgirl over here. I can't even lie.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for you guys to see it. I've seen it a little bit during play tests and stuff, and it is a blast to use. So really excited for you guys to get your hands on it.
Oh, and while we're on that, I will be doing a live stream the very first day to give people a first look at it. Going to be speed building my takedown map, Infinity Loop. So that should be a lot of fun. That should be a lot of fun. Let's move to the next question then. Okay. As your bold journey begins into an already competitive FPS genre, what steps have been taken by 1047 to ensure longevity for Splitgate 2? I feel like, again, we've already touched on this a little bit with your guys' ability to make updates real quickly in a modular way. But I want you to kind of take this chance to say anything else you guys might have done.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot. I guess I'll go over the big points, which the first is we've really just built out the team an incredible amount compared to the first one. So the first one, you guys have heard this story obviously several times. Those of you who haven't, it was obviously a college project that sort of, grew wings and took off, so to speak.
Yep.
It started as literally just Cardinal and Meme Lord for their senior project at Stanford. They're just like, hey, what if we add portals to Halo? And that's where it all blossomed from. And when we first got very popular, I would say during that summer of 21, we were just not expecting that whatsoever. Like there was maybe 8 or 9 of us. In terms of game engineers, it was quite literally Meme Lord, and then Ethan, who is, I believe, I don't know, I don't want to mess up his official title. He's really high up in the company.
Yeah.
He's in charge of all of Game Eng. And then me, and it was my first time actually in game development. I was actually studying 3 months before that to go into artificial intelligence. I kind of fell into game development as a result of meeting Cardinal at college. And
That's actually really cool, though.
yeah, it was really fun, and COVID just sort of screwing around with my course catalog. So I'm really glad I did. It's been an incredible journey. But all that's to say, when we got really popular, our servers, as you guys know, just weren't ready for it. And so everyone but me pretty much was diverted to go work on fixing the servers. And me and Ethan, or Ethan and I were pretty much the only 2 people working on the game itself. And Ethan, even more so, was very focused on anti-cheat, which was a very big issue at that point in time. And fixing, high-stakes bugs that, frankly, I just didn't have the knowledge to. So that definitely didn't make for a sustainable rate of development with where we were at. But now, as I mentioned before, we've grown the team an incredible amount. We've gotten some incredible hires, guys. Like, we've got some super high-level people that have come to us from really big-name AAA companies that have just done incredible work. I'm not going to dox anybody, but, it's like it's really crazy just brushing shoulders with some of the industry's greatest, and I'm very honored to have the opportunity to do that nowadays. And then with that, the old crew that was there for the original, we've all just grown so much, I feel, since then, and
Yep.
gained a lot of lessons from, what went well, what didn't, technical skills in my case that I just didn't have back then, I now have in spades, I feel like. So that's been a big thing, and I'm gonna keep going if that's all right, because I
No,
think there's a couple other important
keep going,
parts.
please.
Another thing is just having a game that we can really sustain development on.
Yep.
As mentioned before, it was a college project. The code was a little scuffed. To give a very concrete example, our old game modes, like all of our game modes actually derived from pretty much a common class that just said, hey, every game mode is going to be a single round with kill-based scoring.
Yep.
And so if you want to change anything about that, which every other mode pretty much did, that was like a massive rework of the code. So
Yeah,
even
that was a
like
big change to see, and we're excited when we as the map builders saw that, because we're like, that's gonna allow us to be a lot more creative with the new modes that we can do now too.
precisely like a concrete example, I suppose, is King of the Hill used to be just pretty much single round, and we wanted to make it multi-round.
Yep.
But to do that, I was gonna have to copy over like hundreds of lines of code and rework them to work within a round-based system.
Yep.
Whereas now it's as simple as just changing like a 1 to a 2 or a 3, and all of a sudden
Which
it's
is
round-based.
exactly what you want your system to be like, because you don't want to spend all the time working on the technicals just to switch a simple stat that is just a 1 to a 2. So
Exactly.
that's exciting here. I also know there was a game mode, you guys called it, survival brawl, I think. We in the map
Was
builders
it?
we called it Hunger Games though.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yep. The problem we had with that though, without the round systems, you go one round, and then everyone's like, let's go again, and you're right
Yep.
back in. So it'd be nice with those rounds. You could do a 3-4 round game, and you just go round after round. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, now we just have the power to alter all sorts of stuff like that, just way faster on the fly. And then I guess the last big thing too is I feel that the sequel, frankly, just has more of a unique identity. Again, this is just my personal thoughts, but Splitgate 1 was very much, from my point of view, Halo, but with portals tacked on. Whereas Splitgate 2, to me, I think you can point to a lot of different games as inspirations for its gunplay, but at the same time, I'm not sure any other game really scratches the same itch as Splitgate 2 does for me. I think,
I would personally say on the gunplay side, because during the Alpha I did get a chance to try out all the guns. I won a little no life for that weekend. It reminds me a little bit of classic Titanfall with the gunplay, just a tad bit, but it still has enough of that Halo yet Call of Duty feel to where, and blends it all in this blender real nicely to give its own unique identity, which is what
Exactly.
I like. It truly, Splitgate 2 does feel like its own identity, where Splitgate 1, it kind of felt like it what was truly just taking from other games, and it was like, yep, there it is.
yeah, it very much in a lot of ways, I think Splitgate 1 felt like a bit of a Chinese takeout menu to me,
Yep.
where if you wanted something, you could find it, but it wasn't really clear what it was as a product at its
Yes.
core. Whereas 2, at least, like you look at the skins, for instance, the art already is just so much more unified than the first game and so much more pleasing on the eyes to me. Like, I feel like our art team has really cooked with this one. So, and I'm excited for you guys to see more of what's coming on the art front. But
And
No.
I guess since we're here, I'm gonna throw this question out. I think I know the answer I'm gonna get, but we're here, so. With the more coherent art style we're seeing, are we gonna be seeing some more lore or possibly some sort of story coming in the future?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question that I'm afraid I can't comment on, but
I had to try. I had to try.
good effort, but yep.
Okay, let's with that, let's move to the next one then. Unless you have anything else you want to speak, I think we were talking about. Oh yeah, we're still on the longevity of
Oh,
Splitgate 2. We kind of
no,
got, we did get
I think
sidetracked.
I think those are like probably the big three things from my point of view at least
Okay.
is just the team, the game itself, like and how quickly it can be iterated on, and then the stuff in it just having sort of a consistent vision.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's great to hear, and I can agree. Oh, yes. Are you guys possibly introducing any new game modes with the new engine limitations? You don't have to give us any specifics if you can't. That's fine. I just can we see anything new coming that we haven't seen yet?
Um, I mean, obviously, I can quote Ian's number, which is the alpha was like half or not even half. I can't remember which number he gave of the final product. So
Yep.
we definitely have some tricks up our sleeves, I'll say. And
Okay.
more directly to the question, I mean, pretty much every mode that we've made falls into that umbrella where we could
The
have
split
done
ball, yeah, was a big one too. I think.
split ball was big, yeah, having capturable things where you can dunk them and like take from it.
Yep.
In the first game's framework that we had, that would have been a nightmare to develop. Whereas here, like, it was very nice and very easy for us to get some quick prototypes going for it. So
That's honestly that it's good to hear that you guys can actually test and play with game modes now. Uh, Honestly, for an FPS arena game, it can get stale fast unless you have the new content that's coming. So that's great to hear. That's great to hear.
totally.
Let's move to the next one then. Ooh, this is actually a fun one. Is there any kind of sandbox or experimental mode planned for testing wild mechanics or community ideas?
Interesting. So I'm not sure I fully follow the question itself, but I
So
guess
I think what the question is really trying to get at is, are there going to be any sort of like seasonal game modes or just limited time game modes where you're going to be testing more wild mechanics?
oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, you know, how do I answer this? I mean, I guess I'll say this. I can't really answer will there questions. All the stuff coming in the future, I really want to keep under wraps for now, or else our marketing department is going to come hunt me down, which would be no fun. But what I will say is, we with this new system, we've really got the flexibility to test some truly crazy stuff,
Yep.
and I think Chaos was a good example of that, where
Yeah.
Chaos mode, which you guys saw in the alpha, we threw that together in pretty much 10 minutes, pretty much on our side. Like, it was very, very easy for us to create something like that. So
Hell yeah.
I think for now, to me, the limitation of what we invent seems to be our creativity and the creativity of the community. And so
That's great
I
to
think
hear.
there's a lot of fun stuff in the future, and I think you guys are going to be very impressed with
Okay.
what we have in store.
And now I do want to say something. I know you're not going to, don't even answer what I'm about to say. I'm not even going to ask a question. This is more me trying to put something out there to hopefully get something in the future from the dev team. Can we possibly get some vehicles of some sort? I know mechs is something that seems to be getting floated around right now. I would love some sort of mech mode to just mess around for a little bit. I can't lie. But what would be even cooler would be like some sort of mongoose, where you could have your buddy hop on the back and then like drive around Glacier and maybe get like some static portals that you could then drive it through. I don't know. Just some ideas I got. Do
Yeah,
do
those are
with it.
fun ideas.
I mean, I gotta throw them out there.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely welcome to throw it out there, and that is where I'm drawing the line on that one.
Um. Oh, this is actually a great one. You already touched on this a little bit, but actually, let's do another question before we get to that because it's one that the community will burn me alive if I don't ask you it soon. And I don't even know if you can give me a good answer on it, but since I've had so many people beg me to ask it, I have to ask it.
All right.
Do we
Let's hear it.
have any news on ranked? I had seen a Sports Illustrated article not too long ago saying that there would be a ranked mode in the beta, but to be fair, the person writing the article did seem a little uninformed. So, do you have any news you can give us on ranked?
I don't have news that I can give you on ranked. The Sports Illustrated person probably, I mean, is just as aware, if not more so, than I am on that front. Like,
Okay.
I'm totally uninformed with what our plans are for playlists. What I'll say is, what Cardinal said during the alpha, which he did say that obviously he himself is a very competitive player.
Yeah.
So we'll see, given that. Personally, I'd love to see a ranked mode. I think it can be pretty fun to sweat with your teammates.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I know
yeah.
rank's a very popular mode among the OG Splitgate players too. So I know a lot of them are they're itching to be able to grind their ranks out again. So
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it comes. We'll see.
let's go with the last question, which again we already touched on a little bit, but let's give a final thought on it. Have you guys reflected on what you've learned from the original game's unexpected surge in popularity?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely learned that you can never predict when popularity is going to hit, ahead
Yep.
of time or necessarily by how much, but you can be prepared for it. So, we've put just a ton of work into building very sustainable code that should hopefully scale very well. So,
That's good.
big player counts. We saw that it was scaling very well during the alpha as well. Like, my performance at least was fantastic.
Yeah.
So hopefully that yours matched that experience.
Yeah, like I've
Oh.
said before, we had just a couple performance problems on Glacier, but you guys fixed that almost right away, and there was no more problems after that.
Yeah.
So that was
And I
really
can say,
nice.
because it's been said publicly, performance has been a massive focus for us since the
Yes.
alpha as well, just making everything a lot more streamlined for the players. So, definitely we've been working hard there. Past that as well, just pretty much what I said before, like building out a game that, takes the best parts of Splitgate while still streamlining or adding the parts that we're missing,
Yep.
or maybe not quite up to snuff in the original, really forging more of a unique identity. I think our game modes, again, I hate to keep talking game modes, but it's kind of my wheelhouse. But I think the
I
modes
love it
kind of
too.
reflect that,
Yeah.
where in the original game, sort of the main modes were like Domination, King of the Hill, and forget what the last one was that was sort of in the main three. But now we've got like Firecracker, which is sort of like maybe kind of takes notes from SND a little bit, but it's
Yep.
still different. It's got its own thing where you can diffuse multiple times. It's round
Yep.
based. Hot Zone is still a original capture point mode of ours, and
Yep.
then you've got Split Ball as well, which plays very fun and very uniquely.
I'm
I think with the portals, sneaking in and stealing the
very
balls from the enemy
excited
team's base.
to see how split ball plays at a very competitive level. One thing I do want to hopefully see changed is increasing how long it takes to actually steal a ball. I remember back during the alpha, you could just walk up to the enemy base, press a button, and you had their ball. I felt like that was just a little too fast, but maybe it's already been changed.
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, now we're on to important questions. Yes,
Oh boy.
the section where
I'll
Ben.
do my best.
All I'm gonna say is actually most of these got cut out. I'm not even gonna lie. I wasn't gonna sit here and pepper Ben with a bunch of questions that he can't answer. So I'm gonna just ask the one question that I know he can answer. Will we get some element of surprise when the beta, or no, when the full game launches, not when the beta launches? Like from the beta to launch, is there going to be some sort of element of surprise?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been very tight-lipped during this interview because we do have more things coming,
Yep.
and you guys haven't seen everything.
No,
So yeah,
that's always
you'll just have
good
to
to
see.
hear. That's always good to hear. because as much as we want to know about what's coming, it's always nice to have that surprise, to get that little bit of like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna go down into more of the questions I was hoping we'd have time for, but didn't know if we would. This one is actually coming from Jibbin. He asked, what was your go-to skin in Splitgate 1, and why does he think it was the miner skin?
Well, first of all, hello, Jibbin, if you're watching. That's an excellent question. So I did wear the miner skin for a little bit. You're not super far off there. Funnily enough, we actually had this skin called UV checker that we used to make sure that all the shaders were correct on the skin.
Yeah.
On the model, rather. And Cardinal absolutely hated it when we wore it because it was supposed to be internal only. So I got in a little bit of trouble for that every once in a while. It was a fun story. But, I loved the UV checker on the miner, and also just in Crag, I thought it was a fun map to wear it on just because it kind of fit.
Yep.
Besides that, though, I gotta say, I think my favorite of all time, there have been some good ones, but I'd say Maximus may have been my favorite. I think that was like Beta Season 1 or Beta Season 2 when it came out.
Yep.
And yeah, I just thought it was very clean, really encapsulates sort of the sporty soldier feel of the game at the time. And it just spoke to me, so big fan of that one. Well, I'm getting turned around, actually. What was your favorite?
I always get his name wrong. I can't even describe him. He looked like a dinosaur, and he had like a little horn.
Oh, I know who you're talking about immediately. I almost wanted to say Rhinoc, but then I realized that was a Sabrask.
No.
Oh man.
Not.
What was the name?
Oh, King of Juice says his favorite was Rexy.
Oh, Rexy. Yeah, I liked Rexy a lot.
Velx is Pig's Demon. We got someone saying Toxic. I'm gonna start opening it up to the chat a little bit more now that we're getting more towards the fun side. Let's go to our next question. This one is from the Spinners and Trick Shotters community. They are wondering if the devs, if they're on your radars. Are you guys thinking about them at all?
I certainly am, Mint Blitz is one of my favorite YouTubers I've ever watched.
Okay, yeah. Mint Blitz, he is a classic, yep.
Exactly, and so I think there's two guns that for me really have a lot of trick shot potential, and I think a lot of people are guessing I'm going to say Fubar, but I'm actually not here. I think the sniper, first of all, is just the best feeling bolt sniper in any game I've played, and that has some crazy montage potential, I feel. But even more than that, what I'm really stoked for is the charged carbine that's coming, that's been revealed on our Instagram. If you haven't seen the charged carbine yet, highly recommend you check out the Splitgate 2 socials. You'll find details of it there. But that thing is just such a blast to use. It shreds through enemy players. Quite literally, actually, you can collat with it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some crazy montage potential with that one.
I also think that your guys' ad of the portal launches is amazing for not only the trick shotters, but everyone. It just adds so much more creativity to play, and it takes away from the negativities of trying to build up your momentum a lot too. So
yeah, the launcher walls, you mean, right? Like the ones that boost you when you leave them. Yeah, like we had you guys in mind for that one very much, like the OG Splitgate fans and trick shotters. It's great because it lets you, like, for me at least, one of the big shortcomings with momentum portals is, like, they're fun to do.
Yep.
But you have to spend time actually falling, which is time not really in the action, and you need to have spots on the map that are specially designated as like giant floors, and oftentimes I find that it can be a bit tricky to locate those spots. So having just walls that let you see it and go, oh, I can launch out that at a super high speed, it's a bit more streamlined from my perspective and really opens up level design to do a lot of very interesting things that they couldn't do with a traditional momentum portal. That said, I do have a soft spot in my heart for the momentum portal wall. Surely you guys have seen the one in the tutorial, and
Yep.
You know, I would never want to take that one away from there, but
Okay,
yeah.
since Chad's talking about it, I thought we might as well go and bring it up. Uh, can we see a PP gun in the beta?
Maybe.
Maybe. Ooh,
Maybe not. We'll see. But
you
the
heard,
PP
chat. You
gun
heard.
exists. The PP gun certainly exists, and we'll see when you guys get to find out what it is.
Okay, hell yeah. That's great to know. That's great to know. I know chat's gonna be excited about that one.
You should be. It's really fun. It might be my favorite power weapon actually in the whole game.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Towards okay, this is actually a good question since I guess we don't really know much about ranked, so it's not like you can even answer this, but they asked, do you think ranked is going to be leaning more towards one gun or multiple?
Yeah, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one
Yep.
because again, I don't know.
Yeah. That's
Maybe.
something like even me as someone who spends a lot of time studying game development and all that, it's kind of hard to tell what they're going to do with the ranked and all the weapons, but I'm excited to see how that turns out.
Yeah, but you know what I will say is obviously we're always listening to feedback. So I don't know if one of those or the other speaks to the community more in any way, but you know, try it out if it happens, and you know, if it does happen, like, and there's you like it or you don't, you know, like give us that feedback. It's super valuable. So.
Yeah, and as someone who I actually started playing Splitgate and came to the Splitgate community after you guys had your whole rise and fall. And I still remember, though, how you guys were very responsive with all the feedback we give you. And even when you guys couldn't do something, you were vocal with telling us why. You wouldn't just be like, no, we can't do it. You'd be like, we can't do it because of X, Y, and Z. So
Yep.
it's always great when you have a dev team that's that vocal about what's going on, because it can suck not knowing what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I think transparency is great. So,
Chat is actually bringing up something good. Chat's going to be bringing up some good questions here.
oh, okay, I'm ready.
Races, can we see them make a return?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Sorry, chat. To be clear, I can't talk about.
All I'm gonna
content
say,
like,
chat, is
revealed.
I am pretty confident that races will make a comeback. It wouldn't make sense not to. It was a pretty well enjoyed part of Splitgate 1, so maybe best answer is Valkyrie. You're a troll. Okay. Oh yeah. What was the funniest bug you or 104017 has ever encountered?
Oh man, how do I pick just one? Game development, guys, you don't see what goes on. There's some weird stuff that happens, and it's always fun. Man, I think the one, so this one's sort of a mixed bag for me, I'm not gonna lie, because it took me like 3 days to figure out and fix. It was really annoying to actually work on, but I laughed every time I was working on it and tried testing. All the character animations in the pregame, you know, where you're selecting your loadout, would be stuck in like a permanent dab for some reason.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just every time you load into the match, you'd get like a bunch of people jumping out portals, and they're just like, it's like, what is going on? So, you know,
That's
it's very
actually
amusing.
hilarious, though.
Really hard to fix, so you know that part was a little bit frustrating, but
Could
we got
we
there. Well, I got there, I suppose, and
possibly see that as an Easter egg emote where
maybe. You know, I do make a habit of taking videos of funny things I come across during testing.
okay.
Sometimes it's like epic moments, other times it's you know, silly bugs like that. So we'll see if I'm ever allowed to share those. If I am, you know, I'd love to show some of the fun bugs and maybe give you guys a closer glimpse into what the game dev was like. But again, I just got confirmed with our marketing team, you know, see if, you know, I'm allowed to do that. And if so, I mean, you know, hopefully I'll have some stuff for y'all.
I mean, if at any point in the future you are able to, please post those. We would love to see those.
totally. Like, I think Bungie, you know, if you ever watch or followed the development of Halo, I don't know if that might be a bit before y'all's time, but Bungie, at least when they were working on the original trilogy, did
Yep.
these vid docs, were what they were called, where
Yeah.
they really gave a glimpse into like the inner workings of the company and sort of like the fun stuff as it came along, and also how it changed. And you know, there's a lot of very fun stories that just haven't really been told. So I think there's a lot of potential there. So, you know, I know Cardinal at least has brought
Oh,
up and been like, hey,
oh,
this could
oh.
be kind of fun for us to do. So,
We got Death Star OG, who is Garrett. He says,
oh my
"I'm
goodness.
marketing team. Please share more, Ben." There we
You already
go.
see plenty, Garrett. You see plenty in our channels, but the people need to see more, clearly. So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could drop a post and wish to see, you know?
What is up, Cyber? How is it going? Nice to see you in the chat. Nice to see you in the chat.
Hey,
Okay.
Cyber.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is actually a good question. Um, can you give us an estimate on how much is gonna be in the beta compared to the full launch?
No, because I'm bad at numbers and don't want to give you guys a bad guess. What I will say
Okay.
is, again, I think Cardinal said that the alpha was like around half or less than half of the
Yeah,
full
he
game.
said like a little less than half. Yep.
Yeah, I actually personally, I've been very just sort of sequestered to the game mode side of things
Okay.
recently. So I, to tell you guys the truth, I don't know everything that's going into the beta yet. I'm just as excited as you guys are to see. But
Yep.
what I do know, or what I do know of already, like I know it's a lot, and I think there's going to be a lot of fun stuff for you guys to discover during the beta.
I mean, I hope so. There was a lot that we were discovering during the alpha. You guys have been very busy putting your Easter eggs all throughout. I will say that. We had actually, it was Bam. I'm pretty sure Bam's in the chat right now. He had actually he was able to find a robot that was on top of Cardinal Tower in Glacier, I believe it is.
I'll have to go check that out. I didn't even know that that was there.
Yeah, him and his buddy, they both had portals, and they basically buddy hopped all the way up to the top, and there was an actual robot there. If
Oh, dude, that's sick.
Yep. For anyone who's watching after the live, I will edit in his short so that way you guys can see what we're talking about. It is actually really cool. And for anyone who wants to see it, May 22nd, when the beta launches, get on Glacier, get a portal, and go to the top of Cardinal Tower. The robot has a name? What? Cyber? You can't tease that and not tell us what the name is now. Please. Please indulge us.
I'm on the edge of my seat at this point.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh. We may tell you more or may not. Okay, so he's probably going to leak it soon now. If you're going to tell us the name, give our boy Bam a shout out because we wouldn't know about it without him. Okay, let's move to the next one then. Okay, this person is curious about ambient or background music. They are wondering if we would be able to get some I'm guessing while playing. I know in some games you're able to choose like the kind of music you listen to as you play. I know with Splitgate you guys have your official soundtrack that you use. Do you have anything to add to that?
Not really. I mean, I guess all I can really talk about is Club Silo from the first game I remember had a song playing by Audrey, who's actually Cardinal's sister. Very impressive singer, burgeoning pop star. Definitely recommend you guys check her out. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was a really cool shout out in that level and added a lot of character to the map as well.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see that kind of mechanic make it into a game in the future.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any plans for that on future maps. I'm I've pretty much only played the maps you guys have, truth be told. But
Any
Garrett would probably know more than I do.
I was
and
gonna
I'm excited
say,
to see what's coming up.
Garrett, if you haven't already, put that in a future map, okay? We need it. let's go to the next. We're getting pretty close to the end, and then after we finish these last couple questions, we're gonna fully open it up to the chat, and any questions you guys still have, we will let him see if he can even answer them. Okay, this is one you actually might know about. Will the BFB after hit animation be updated?
So I didn't know that that bug existed,
Okay.
and frankly, I don't really know what it is. That said, we've done like a truly staggering amount of bug fixes
Yeah.
since the alpha. So
I was gonna say, if it hasn't
yeah,
already, they're probably have it in the plans to get it done.
if this is something that was like widely reported about during the alpha, I would say
Yeah.
probably would be
Yeah.
my guess. But
I'm pretty sure it was too. It was something known. Uh, this person is wondering if we will have unique weapons like COD Blueprint inspects. Have you ever messed with those at all? Do you know what those are?
yeah, I know what you're talking about, kind of. I'm not really going to give a straight answer here, but what I'll say is reread the beta announcement blog post.
Okay,
Would be
okay,
my recommendation.
okay. That that's good to know. That's good to know. And then the last, I'm gonna do one more, actually before that one. I had asked a couple final players if they had any questions for you. Again, I don't know if you even have an answer because this is a little bit of a silly one. Have you ever played the finals?
Oh, finals. Actually, finals is like maybe the one game where I've always been like, I need to try it, but I
Okay.
haven't. I
Uh,
know a ton of team members have.
okay. Have you watched any videos of people playing it before?
That I have.
You have.
Yes.
So do you know the goo that, like, when you explode the canister, there's a bunch of goo that...
Oh, you've
Comes
lost
out.
me again.
Okay.
My knowledge of the finals is very
Okay.
surface level. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted to try and explain what I'm about to explain to you, I guess. So the finals has this utility equipment thing that when you throw it at the ground, it explodes and puffs up into this sort of goo. And when you throw it right and you jump right, it will launch you all the way up into the air and just give you an insane amount of movement. Is there some chance that we can see some sort of equipment in the future that affects our movement or enemy players' movement at all?
That's crazy. I mean, crazy in a good way, you know.
Yes,
like, that
no,
sounds
it's
like a
a lot of
crazy
fun.
piece of gear. I mean, to an extent, we already have one that kind of does in the sense of the time dome. You know, you can use
Yes,
that
it
to do
does.
some pretty cool movement tech, which I think there's a lot of potential there that the community hasn't yet uncovered.
Me
and I'm
personally,
hoping, yeah.
I've been waiting to see some sort of like gravity equipment to where like you throw it down, it sends out a pulse and like pushes everything away, or maybe you have something that will like pull you towards it. Just something to affect the player's movement more than just like speeding up and or slowing down.
Yeah. I feel like black holes are always pretty awesome in games, so you know, I'd be all for something like that, like a black hole power weapon or something. Maybe
Yo,
could be pretty cool.
yeah,
But
that would be cool.
yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see.
We'll just have to see, I guess. We got one more question before we open it up to chat. Do you or any of the team play Helldivers 2? And would 1047 be open to a collaboration in the future?
Oh, okay. So that second part is very marketing oriented.
Yeah.
Not my decision. I don't know.
Okay.
But speaking personally, like I love Helldivers. I'd say I play it at least a couple times a month. I've actually played with quite a few other people in the company. Funnily enough,
Okay.
Cardinal, Akuvo, Meme Lord and I played it quite a bit during launch month. What was that, last year? I want to say back in February. So,
Okay, yeah, nice.
you very big Helldivers fan personally, and yeah, I know there's plenty of others in the company too.
Personally, I never took the time to pick it up, although I did hear some really good things about it. I'm one of those gamers who I don't have a lot of time to play games, so I pick the couple games I play, and I really do just stick to those. That's why you see me playing a lot of Splitgate, because it's one of my main games.
Well, we're honored to have you as, such a loyal member of the community, so.
Okay, and then with that, we're gonna open it up to chat. So anyone in chat, if you guys have any questions, please leave them there right now so Ben can answer them. We're gonna only do this for it's almost 9:20 for me right now, so we'll give it 20ish minutes. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, it sounds good enough.
Or until the questions die down. I know there was someone in chat before asking about lore again. Like we said, he cannot answer whether or not there will be lore. But they do have a more coherent art style. They do have a little bit of lore on the websites. So hopefully we see that getting expanded more in the future. Okay, we have someone else asking about ranked. Again, ranked, we don't have any answers on, but like he said, Cardinal is a big fan of ranked. Most of the OG players are big fans of ranked, so I would imagine we're going to be seeing ranked very soon. There was someone else. If there was anything... Was there... Okay, this is actually a really good one from Valkyrie. Was there anything cut from the earlier game that you wish hadn't been?
Yeah, I think I can safely answer this one. I think the first game had a lot of really cool skins.
Yeah.
That just unfortunately never really saw the light of day. A lot of them were just sort of prototypes by the time we decided to move on to 2, or just lacked the final polish that they needed. But,
okay.
There's definitely a few where, I would boot up the game and go, oh man, I wish I got to equip this skin, but, it didn't make it in. Past that, I mean, there were a few cut gameplay features for the first that I'd started work on, but never quite made it there. But it's hard for me to talk about those because some of them are things that either were going to come or did come already to this one. So, like, concretely, I guess a good example of that is, like, Firecracker. I know we were talking about maybe doing Firecracker a long time ago, and I don't think it was ever set in stone. I certainly never coded it in the first one, but, it was something where I looked at it as, like, oh, that's a fun idea. And in hindsight, I am kind of curious how that might have played, in the first game, so...
Miss Mini Chief is asking, is the railgun still one shot? Technically, there isn't really a railgun anymore.
Yeah, are you asking about the charged carbine that we revealed?
I think that's what they're asking about.
Yeah, so as you can see in the trailer, it's 2 shots to kill with that gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that even with a headshot?
That I think so, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have to double check. And again, obviously, bouncing is always changing. That was like just how that gun played at the time that we record that footage. It very well may have changed drastically since then, and it could still change even more in the future.
Yep.
And thankfully, we now have the levers to, change all that just real quick. So.
And that's always nice, like, especially with game modes and stuff, you need it to be modular. We have a question from Bam. He's asking about the Founders Pack price. We never really talked about that. I'm not really even sure if you have an answer on that.
I don't. I actually don't know myself, and I'm very curious because I hope to buy it for sure.
I think it's like the first tier's $20 and the second tier's like $30 from what they're making it sound, but that's a guess. They haven't confirmed anything on that. Valkyrie says roguelike single player campaign when. That's all he says.
Not soon enough. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Right.
But
Right.
time will tell if we do it or not.
Who knows, Valkyrie? Maybe me and you are going to be the ones that have to write the story and get everything ready for it.
Yeah, I think just to talk a little bit about single player stuff, at least personally, what I find fascinating is there's no game that really does portaling, I don't think, with actual like
No,
PvE mechanics really. I mean, Portal kind of, but I might say the
not with
turrets
FPS
are
though.
exactly. And like the turrets, like sure they're kind of enemies, and sure there's like bosses, so to speak, but they feel more like mechanics to me than they do true enemies that you're fighting against and defeating in many ways. So
And me and Valkyrie have had many discussions on how a roguelike fits really well into FPS games because it allows for a lot of replayability that the classic campaign doesn't have. So, Splitgate developers, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about a campaign, think about a roguelike. I feel like it would fit the Splitgate model very well and what you guys are trying to do, and it also lends itself to updates very well too. We have a lot of, like, these questions are coming in faster than we can answer them, so we will get there as soon as we can. What are you looking forward to when it comes down to the community created content, montages, maps, game modes, etc.?
yeah, I think what's cool about the map creator community is you guys often provide a different take on the game compared to sort of what the standard maps and modes provide. And it really leads to new innovation on our part, first of all, and also just like new perspectives on the game itself. I think a very classic example of that is like surfing in Splitgate 1.
Oh, yes.
Really like pushed the movement system past where we thought it could go. And that certainly I think played a role in us talking about fluidity of movement and stuff like that. So I'm just always excited to see what the map creator community comes up with that we on the team didn't necessarily think of.
Yep. And we're always going to be coming up with fresh ideas because that's just what we love to do. We had another question from Phlebas asking, are there more game types we haven't seen yet? And the quick answer to that is yes, there are definitely more game types that we haven't seen yet. Do we know what they are? No. We're going to have to wait to find out. And then we actually got one from Garrett asking, is Ben going to commit to co-live stream the beta for 24 hours with DK?
Yes, although you missed an important detail. Jesse is going to be there too, Griffin.
Oh,
so
Griffin's going to be
excited.
there too.
Yep, at launch, some point after launch is when we're planning on doing it, so get hyped. And yeah, Garrett, I mean, that fourth slot, we're hoping to make a rotator, so if you want to play with us for an hour or two, answer some questions on stream, definitely reach out and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, that sounds like a stream I would have to tap into to watch for sure. We got a question now from CyberWiz saying, what is your favorite power weapon so far?
Ooh, man, that's tough. I mean, I would probably have to say the sniper. I don't know if you guys have seen the Firecracker trailer, but I hit a pretty crazy flick in that one.
Nice.
And to me, there's just nothing that quite hits as nicely as just hitting some crazy flick and no scoping some dude perfectly in the head across the map.
Yeah. I'm a big
so
fan.
Satisfying. Yeah.
The sniper just feels so good. Oh, so good. I was having fun during the alpha. I had a game where I grabbed it perfectly. I was on Eden on the catwalk, had a nice view down to all the team, and it was just boom, headshot, boom, headshot, boom, headshot. So good, so fun. I love that stuff.
I love all of them, frankly.
Yep.
I think they're all just really fun to play with, and also, interestingly, they all have very different play styles as well. Like, the way I move when I have, say, like, the split stream, the dual SMG, is very, very different than the way I'll move with like the BFB, and very, very different than the way I move with the 2-bar. And I
Yep.
think, to me at least, that makes the power weapons all feel more interesting and meaningful.
Yep.
So yeah.
For sure. For sure. I can completely agree with that too. We got one from Katesku. Will there be any creator items like creator skins or charms? I'm just gonna say what I think personally. They had it in Splitgate 1. They're probably gonna have it in Splitgate 2. Do you have anything to add to that?
I'll say my favorite word, which is just maybe.
Maybe. Okay. There you go. There you go. And then, will there be modes that emphasize gunfights a lot more than portals? So this is actually a question I think I missed a little bit. Will we possibly be seeing a no portal playlist coming? I know there is a portion of people who do like that because they feel like the portals can be overwhelming at times.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly can't speak to whether or not it will happen, but what I can say is with the new systems we put in place, as I was saying before,
It's
tweaking
easy.
stuff like that and, adding it to modes before we had to spend like easily a week just duplicating code, testing, making sure everything worked. Usually I'd make a copy paste error somewhere, so then we'd have to go fix that and that'd take more time. Whereas now it's as simple as just, going in and figuring out, okay, how do we disable portals, and then just making a checkbox for that, and then we can just tick that anywhere in the game. And so, if we were to do something like that, it would certainly be a lot easier now than it used to be.
Yeah.
Will it happen though? I don't know.
Okay. Yep. That's fair. Okay, and now, this is an easy question to answer. Will the EMP for portals return? And I think that's just going to be a no. They completely changed how we EMP portals now. You basically take down an enemy portal by putting your portal up.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have anything you want to add, or is that pretty much it?
Yeah, I mean, Cardinal pretty much said that. I think as fun as the EMP nades were, I think portal blocking was maybe just a little too strong in some modes with it, which made it hard to bounce around. And I also think
That's
in
fair.
a lot of ways it sort of slowed down the flow of the match, which maybe it's to some people's tastes, but for me, when I'm like portaling around and triple portaling well, I want it to feel fluid and fast.
I'm
And
a
having to
personal I'm a
Oh,
personal fan
please.
of the portal block personally, because especially when you're playing against someone who specifically is just gonna be portaling so fast you can barely keep track of them, it kind of adds that little bit of counterplay in to where they can't just portal 360s around you and you just can't do anything. But
Totally. And like if you guys feel similarly, like again, I encourage you guys always leave your feedback. Like what
yep,
my taste isn't necessarily always going to align with the entire communities, and that's okay. Like maybe my taste isn't the best, decision, to make for the majority. So
yep,
as long as we're getting that feedback from people saying, "Hey, I love the new portal system, don't change a thing," or "Hey, this new portal system is garbage, you won't hurt my feelings, don't
yep.
worry." And you should bring back the nades, like both of those are invaluable pieces of feedback. So I encourage you guys just always be sharing your thoughts with us, we're listening.
I personally don't want to see the EMP grenades make a comeback, but I do want to see more abilities and equipment that allow us to portal block. Because I know
Yeah.
with them taking away the EMPs and how the portals can't be put up permanently, it you need something to create a little bit more of a dynamic gameplay loop, and having
Totally.
stuff to at least just temporarily block a portal off kind of adds that extra level of depth.
Well, and I'll shout out really fast something that maybe we could do a better job advertising, but the sand brass grenade, the Sabrask
Yes,
sand grenade,
that yes,
that thing has so much utility, and I feel like nobody's
no one
necessarily used it to its potential
So
yet. Like
to be fair,
you can do some very powerful portal blocking with
Yep.
that thing.
yeah. In the alpha, I was trying to test it. It was hard to test though because you have to first find a lobby with people who are portaling to make it actually useful, because in a lower skill lobby it isn't quite useful. Like, you might use it as a quick smoke and that's it, but when you get to the higher levels where people are strictly portaling around maps, it will completely change the dynamic of how people are going to move around that map. And I'm waiting to see more of it. I want more equipment like it, though. I think more than just Sabrask should be allowed to do that. That's my biggest gripe. I feel like the other factions should be able to as well, and maybe their own unique way. Like, maybe you have it to where Meridian can temporarily disable a portal wall, and maybe Eros has it to where you can't put your portal wall up for a little bit, whatever that is.
So, to give you guys a little peek under the hood, maybe this is a risky thing to share, but like the shock disc actually was quite interesting. Where for a little while the shock disc actually disabled portal walls that it hit, like very early in development, and then a little bit after that, it actually, whoever you hit with the shock disc couldn't portal. So. You know, I think there's definitely the potential for interesting pieces of gear like that. Ultimately, I remember, I think we scrapped that because it just felt maybe a little too strong, like, you know, almost just being too good at stunning you and blocking portaling.
Yeah,
and
no,
making your bullets go
I don't
so.
think you should be able to stun and do that. I feel like it definitely should be a separate ability, but finding a way to, like, maybe we do add EMP grenades, but instead of them just deleting the portals off walls, they make it so you can't put your portals up onto walls. Just an idea. You guys can play with that how you want, of course. I'm just here for the theories and ideas.
Totally.
And then I'll get to this. Valkyrie asks, how are you able to handle being so fine?
Oh no, man! I was just born with it, I guess. Oh, I'm kidding. No, I mean, you know, we're all just doing our best here and having a good time, and yeah.
And then he says, actually, semi-serious question. There was a bot in Splitgate 1 named after a player who passed away, KJ. Is that bot returning in Splitgate 2? It was KJL.
Yeah, I'm not sure what our plans are with that, but I can certainly flag that to the team, you know, and see what happens.
I think the OG players would really appreciate that, because I remember I came in a little bit after that whole thing happened.
Let me write a note actually real fast on that.
I do know how much that means to them, though.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really sweet thing to do.
Yep.
So.
This is a good question from King Juice. Is the new map editor easy to use? Because I know people like him, they aren't as advanced into the map editing as people like me and Coma and Phoenix are. Will it still be easy for them to use?
Yeah, I would hope so. You know, I haven't really used it myself, to be quite frank. I've, again, been on a very different part of the project.
Yep.
But I think that having an easy-to-use map editor, at least when we were developing the first one, we always said, like, as cool as some of the newer map editors some games are, and, you know, as powerful as they are, they feel very obstructive to people that just want to get in and doodle. So for the first one, at least, it was a big goal of ours to, you know, give people a space where even if they weren't super familiar with advanced level editing tools, they could do stuff. My understanding is, you know, obviously it's going to be probably a little more powerful than the first game, and again, haven't really used it, but if I were to just throw a wild guess out there, more power typically means there's a teeny bit more complexity to do certain things, but I also would be surprised if, you know, making it easy to use wasn't still a priority. So
I would imagine, especially for a game like Splitgate, you want people to feel comfortable with making maps. You're going to have an interface that is easy to use, even if you have like an extra advanced mechanics feature as well. So I think for those who are maybe feeling a little intimidated by what might be coming with the new map editor, don't worry. I feel like you guys will be fine. Garrett, if you maybe want to add anything to that in chat, please be my guest. But what is the next question then? Faction or more focused portal block? Okay. Oh, Coma's saying that maybe a faction more focused on portal blocking, actually, like as in a fourth one. That's an idea.
Yeah, definitely an idea. You know, we'll just have to see if a fourth faction seems like it would add to the game and add a unique identity to it, you know? We talked about this a little bit earlier about having just 3 factions versus, you know, 4 more. And I know what Cardinal was saying was just, you know, he feels like the 3 right now have very good interplay. So,
Yeah.
but if people want 4, like he said, you know, let your feedback be known, and I'll echo that. Like, the
Again,
more we hear from you
I'm
guys,
not a big fan of the fourth. I think you do 3 or you do
Exactly.
5. There's no real in between, but I think 3, especially where Splitgate at, it's fine. Like, you can do a number of different things to increase the diversity of play. And we got from Cyber just saying, with great power comes great responsibility, said Uncle Ben. Oh,
Very true.
nope, that is all good. I think we're pretty much good there. We don't have many more questions coming in. So with that, I think we're going to call it a day. I'm going to thank Ben for stopping by. Sorry if I held you a little too long, but
No.
I
It
love
was
you.
a
And
very fun time. Oh, thanks, bro.
yeah, no, and I love this game. So just thank you. And to everyone that came by in chat, thank you for stopping by. You know, we'll look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. But I think Ben does got a bounce here. So yeah, peace.
Well, thanks for having me, and you know, thanks for playing, everyone, and hope to see you all in the beta. And thanks for all the good questions.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and raid out. Ben, if you need to get going, you can bounce out. Anyone in chat, let's help support another Splitgate channel. By the way, thank you, Ben.
Oh, for sure, man. Thanks for having me. Those were some really good questions.
Ooh, our boy Bam is live. Let's raid him. There we go. And then I am gonna